Hi Renee, this is Sister Finch. I just thought I'd make a really short video um, for your feedback because I realized that I said a lot here in your discussion here, and then you also had some other students chime in, and those were the other things that I was thinking about saying too. And so um, with this design, I did mention, making sure that you are communicating, what you want to communicate. If they are hills, let's make them into hills. You are going to want to have some kind of focal point within the golden section. That's just one of the requirements of the design. So if these were hills, maybe you can consider adding a small structure on the hill, like um, even some, you could even do some like uh, landscape, you know, um, area where you've got like a really green patch of landscape, that where the sun's shining on it, perhaps, just in how you shape the mountains. Or you could add something to the mountains like a little house or barn or ski resort, just something to add to create a focal point within the rule of thirds. Um, it doesn't even have to be on this top mountain. It can be on this mountain. If you used like a color contrast because I do want you to play with that atmospheric perspective and use your saturated colors in the foreground. Everything gets lighter and less saturated as it goes back into space, and eventually matching the atmosphere of this background. You're but what I was going to say is you could add, like let's say these were cool colors and you added a warm um, color, something right here, that would be an okay, placement for your focal point as well. You could even, like, if you didn't want a focal point on the mountains, you could do something up here in the sky, a plane, a bird, um, something, a tower off of one of these that has you know, a light or something that's shining. Um, but you could do something like that as well to create a focal point. Uh, your one of the students, let's see, Jonathan, made the comment about having the sun in the corner, and that's a really good comment. When you put a shape that draws your attention, especially like the sun in the corner of a design, it tends to lead the viewer's eye off into that corner. And so it's probably a better idea to put something if behind the mountain or in the sky, rather in the corner of the page. That's kind of something that we learn. It's a learned thing, back in elementary school when we're drawing pictures and we put the sun in the corner. It's kind of the same idea. But as far as the design, that's not the best idea in design. Um, but I really hope, I don't want to be discouraging because I think that you have used your creativity and you have created some nice, I love actually the striations in these mountains. Design wise, it's just fun. Um, you could add a little bit more variety in the sizing. All of these streaks are about the same. If you added just a little bit more variety in the sizing of those, that's a fun thing as well. But if you're going to do something like that in a design, it might be a good idea to have that repeated element somewhere else in the design. Like imagine if you had like you kept the striation on the mountains. If you had some, instead of having these individual cloud shapes, you had some kind of striation in the sky too. That's subordinate to this mountain shape, but still in the sky. And so I know I've given you a lot to think about, and I don't want to overwhelm you because it is your design, and ultimately you have the power to make your design how you want it. Um, but you can still keep a lot of the elements in this design as long as you get your colors, your values, your focal point, all working correctly, and then repeating the elements with a little bit of variation would be a good move as well. So um, I look forward to seeing what you do submit for your final. Like I said, I hope I wasn't overwhelming to you. Um, and let's see, I know you replied here. Thank you for your comment. Um, So I look forward to seeing what you do submit for your final, and let me know if you have any questions. I'll, I'll respond quickly by text. My phone number is 208 206 8235. You can always send me a picture of what you're working on, any questions, and I usually respond within an hour or two to text, sometimes immediately if I'm not doing anything. Um, Emails I'll respond within a day or two. In discussion boards, I check those about twice a week. So with the deadline coming up, I wouldn't recommend putting the question in there, um, just because of time. But let me know if you have any questions or if I can help you. I think you'll do well on this final. Just make sure that you're hitting all the nails on the head. Um, Here's the rubric. You have a little bit of the modeling, so keep in mind that shapes cut out, making sure they're definite shapes that you have. You can do the same thing but with shapes, and that's just fine. Um, your color saturation, save that for your focal point and desaturate like the background. Um, Dominance and subordination, you can do that in many, many ways. You've already subordinated some of these mountain shapes by their size and by putting them, overlapping the foreground with the background. You can further subordinate with color saturation and with value. Um, let's see, correct placement. Make sure you have a focal point within the rule of thirds. You've got some nice repetition and a little bit of variety. You could probably push the variety a little bit more. Small, medium, and large negative shapes. These shapes are all the same width, having some thicker, having some thinner, somewhere in your design, breaking this up rather than having a background with, random shapes or random clouds, somehow breaking this up in a more interesting way to create more interesting negative shapes as well. Good use of values, light, medium, dark values. We're looking for overlapping. You're doing pretty good there. Like I said, we could just use a little bit more shape breakup in some of that background space, um, overall, I think you've got a really good start on this design. And let me know if you have any questions. Okay, have a good week. I hope you've enjoyed this class, Renee. All right, bye bye.